Hello everyone and welcome back to a very special pro bike check. I'm joined by Hattie Harnden of AON Racing and I've got her Nicolai GP1, an electronically shifted, belt-driven gearbox bike. So let's dive into it. Hattie, thanks for joining me, all right?
Yeah, not bad.
Oh, good. Just a good day for a bike check, right?
Yeah, not bad.
Okay, so this, I think people are going to be fascinated about this because it's a pretty wild looking bike. Like people aren't used to it, should we say, and obviously with belt drive going like the big thing at the moment, there's a lot to kind of dive into. But let's talk about the frame first. This is an all aluminium affair, right?
Yeah.
And you hit us with a few stats, few numbers of it?
Yeah, so it's got like approximately a 63-degree head angle, and then probably people will be interested on the reach, which is only a 460.
Okay.
So it's not really big bike. And then obviously you can see I've got a really long dropper in it because obviously the seat angle's really steep. So it's about 78 degrees.
Okay.
And then chainstay, quite a long chainstay on it, is 456.
Nice, and that's adjustable, right? So if you want to run this is full 29er, we should say at the
Yes.
Mo. If you want to run mixed wheel, you could do that on the back, right?
Yeah, you can run a smaller wheel if you wish, but yeah, for Enduro, I've gone for the full 29.
Full 29. And travel-wise, I believe this has got an adjustability sort of flip chip in it. So you're running it in 175, I'm going to guess?
Yes.
But it could also go 162, isn't it?
Yeah.
Via this little flip chip just down tucked in here, right?
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And obviously sort of we'll call it the centerpiece of this frame is the pinion gearbox, the smart shift, right?
Yeah.
So it's a 12-speed?
Yep, 12-speed gearbox and can change under load and change whilst you're not moving. So yeah, it's quite different to normal shifting that conventional bikes have.
And a Gates belt drive.
Yes.
So we're going to actually see you racing this bike in, well, almost imminently, depending on when this video goes out, at the first round of the EDR series at Pietra, right? And you've not ridden belt drive before?
No.
How is it going so far?
Oh, it's been really great. Like, it's obviously been a little bit of learning as well, just because obviously you ride a normal derailleur for 10 years or
and
whatever.
And a chain, right?
Yeah, and it does take a moment, but once you got the hang of it, honestly, it really is a game changer. It's so quiet, the weight's in the right place, it's really efficient, you know, like minimal maintenance, you know, you're not lubing a chain or anything. So especially in the winter as well, it's really, really great.
Nice. And sort of with the gearbox, charging, recharging, how often, do you know?
Every couple of months. It's not often. I haven't charged mine yet, neither on my downhill bike. And yeah, like it'll last for a really long time, but we just have a little charger.
I see the little charging port just up here, sort of sneakily tucked away.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, look, I mean, do you know a rough weight of the bike?
I actually haven't weighed the bike. That's an interesting question. No, I haven't. I'm not too worried about it.
No, I mean, it's built for going down, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. And she's built to last, so.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do notice, though, no room for a bottle on there.
Yes.
How are we going to overcome that come Enduro race day? Just backpack it up?
Yeah, I have a small backpack that I'll be wearing. And I mean, at the Enduro races last year, I ran a backpack anyway, just to carry spares, snacks, and extra water. I was carrying extra water anyway, so it's not an issue, and it was something I was going to be doing anyway, even if it had a bottle cage. Right. So it's. I mean, you need it big days out on the Enduro bike. Like, you need to be self-sufficient, and you need to kind of be ready for any kind of event.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's jump to the front of the bike. Hattie, then, to the front of the bike. Let's kick things off with sort of the fork. What have we got?
So we've got a Manitou Mezza Pro with the set at 170mm travel.
And they're adjustable, I believe, as well, because I actually did a video on them. I think they go from 150 to 180s, just so you know.
Yeah, beautiful.
What are we sort of talking pressure-wise, volume kind of token, spacers, what's in there?
Yeah, so there's no volume spacers in there, but you have a bottom chamber and a top chamber. And the bottom chamber has about 90 to 100 PSI for me. And then the top has anything from like 40 to 60. So depending on what you're doing and what the trail's like, steepness and all of that. Do
you tinker with tokens or just like a more linear feel? You don't need them?
No, we're kind of keeping it pretty straightforward at the moment and just kind of working with that, just because obviously it's a lot of new stuff, so you don't want to overwhelm yourself.
Fair dues. Wheels, I see carbon Reynolds? I don't know which one, because there's no tag on it.
Carbon downhill wheels, so same as what I'm running on my downhill bike, obviously just with a different hub, because obviously the the axle's a bit different, but yeah, just for sturdiness and longevity.
I see some sneaky numbers. HH, I'm guessing, is you.
That's me.
V1?
I think that's my version 1.
Version 1.
Like set 1 of wheels.
SL?
Super light, maybe?
G1? So many on there.
G1, gosh.
Gosh, one, that'll do.
That's Pascal's secret.
Yeah, okay. And then on it, you guys are riding Schwalbe, right?
Yeah, Schwalbe tires.
So what, we got Magic Mary, what width?
1.4, yeah.
1.4?
Yeah.
2.4.
2.4.
Hattie likes to run super narrow tyres on her enduro bike. Super narrow. What pressures are in those possibly 2.4s?
2.4 I'm running anything from like 24 down to 20 psi, depending on weather and terrain. Like if it's wet, obviously a bit less, and if it's rocky, a bit harder.
Yeah, so. Inserts?
No inserts. No, just
nothing. Just
pure tyre.
Air.
Yeah.
Pure tyre and air. So then moving up, cockpit-wise, Pro Taper bars, A38s. What kind of width?
So they're set at 760.
Perfect number.
Yep, lovely bar. They've got quite a bit of rise on them. I've come to kind of play around a little bit with that this year.
Okay.
They've got a 38mm rise on them actually.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a lot. And then we've got a short little stem on there.
So, all right, before we go any further, let's talk about this. What I can only decide is just mental looking stem. So there's an R on the front. Explain that. Is that because it's from Reese, you were saying?
Yeah, it's Reese's stem.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, bless him. I've kind of I'm borrowing it to try because he's well into kind of playing around with the setup, and he's been kind of giving me a few things to try and a bit of advice. So
So why such the sort of high rise zero kind of length stem? Or it's 15? You were saying it's 15mm length, so basically.
Yeah. It's just to do with cornering and things. Like honestly, the further back, obviously, like across the top of the steerer you are, the more like it reacts to when you make a small movement. And also kind of hence why I don't have really wide bars. So then the amount you have to move is obviously a lot less.
Okay.
And it just, honestly, it gives the bike a much more like responsive feeling. And I really like that. I mean, I'm sure it's not for everyone, but personally, like I have a similar sort of setup on my downer bike, and I've not ridden it loads, but I really liked it straight away.
It's mad. It's giving me like Mondraker circa 2012 vibes to it, but hey, if it works,
you should try it.
Maybe I'll give it a go. I'll get that one off you after Reese's and you are done with it. Purple haze brakes, trick, factory looking.
Yeah.
What rotors you got on there?
So we've got some 203 rotors on there, nice. Pretty standard, kind of run that on downhill and enduro bikes. And yeah, just kind of
any special?
Some lovely sintered pads in there as well. So
I saw these when at your training camp the other day, and you had some like special kind of like team only like wet weather pads and stuff. Not needed today, obviously, but no. I saw some sort of fancy looking pads you were trying out as well.
Yeah, so we were experimenting with them in Wales, a very fitting place to try wet weather pads.
Too right.
But yeah, just with like racing this year, like they had a lot of wet races last year, so you know, you want your brakes to be working. So we're just giving ourselves the best opportunity for our products to be working the best they can.
Nice. And then last but not least, that electronic shifter, that smart shift pinion shifter, right? Just tucked under the bars there. Now, probably a lot of people think of pinion, they think of the grip shift. Do you ever try the grip shift?
No, we've always been given the electronic shifter.
Lucky buggers.
Actually,
Yeah, that's well good, isn't it? So that's just normal thumb kind of trigger shifter.
Yeah, very similar to what SRAM and Shimano use, so it's very easy kind of transition actually, really.
Easy peasy. Yeah. Hattie, the middle of the bike. Now actually, we kind of glossed over quickly something on the cockpit, and it was these rev grips. It's something I have heard of, and they're grips with a bit of floating, right?
Yeah.
A bit of movement.
Bit of rev in them.
Oh! And why? I mean, they're very tacky to the touch, which I like. But what is that, just to relieve a little bit of arm pump or something?
Yeah, just allows a little bit of movement, and then as well, just takes a bit of vibration and things out of things. So Fort William was an absolute blessing to have that
of all
there.
the places.
Yeah, it had all the rev going there.
Yeah, I bet all fully throttled out with it.
Exactly.
All right, moving on. I want to point out this externally routed cable routing as well, which is, I think, probably most mechanics and racers' dreams right there, actually, because it makes working a lot simpler, right? But Manitou in the middle again.
Yeah, Manitou Mara Pro.
Nice.
Yeah, with 175mm of travel, so all the sponginess.
Oh, and do you know the pressures? What are we running in there?
It's about like anywhere from like 220 to like 250, depending on, you know, again, the conditions and the kind of the gradient and things like that.
And volume spaces or anything like that in there, or is she?
No, she's pretty standard, really. She's just kind of, again, starting at the bottom and we're working our way up.
All right, okay. Pinion cranks, obviously part of the pinion gearbox. What length are we talking? Any short, long?
165s, so pretty kind of standard for downhill and enduro now, actually. But yeah, just they do longer ones if you wish, but that's what I've gone for.
You wish for the 165s?
For the little ones.
Mallets on the end?
Yeah, some mallet DH Crank Brothers pedals, so that's great. Yeah.
Do you run like the tighter cleats or anything, or just the stock cleat with the float and that as well?
Just the stock cleats, but I've actually kind of come to like screw the pins out a little bit, just to stop the movement a little bit.
Bites into the shoe a bit?
Yeah, I quite like that. I don't like them moving too much. I quite like a good
because they are known for their float, aren't they, those kind of bits?
Yeah, and you can get other cleats that don't float really so much, but I've kind of found what works for me.
Fair dues. And what's going on with this? Monster dropper post here. What length is that? That's humongous.
It's a 220 dropper, and yeah, I've always kind of been for the idea of you might as well have as much drop as you can get, as the bike will allow you, and this one obviously allows you a lot.
Yeah, with that straight seat post means
it's
all
brilliant.
the drop. And did you tell me this was stolen off your brother's bike?
I borrowed it just
borrowed.
just to try out to see if it would fit and if I liked it and could get on with the fact of like, you know, having a seat so far down. There is also that of like some people like a saddle there to feel where
you're like push against it, right?
Yeah. Whereas I'm very much like I just want it down out the way.
Okay.
And so yeah, he had one on his bike that I was like, oh, that's, you know, he's very tall.
He is.
So I was like, oh yeah, like I gave it a go and I was like, yeah, this is really great. Like I want the longest dropper possible.
Yeah, thanks for that. And then on top, what have we got on top here?
Lovely physique saddle. This is actually a 145 width on it, so I like to go for a slightly wider saddle just because, yeah, big days in the saddle and, you know, you need to be comfortable and, yeah, you don't want to be uncomfortable on the bike.
No one wants an uncomfy back end. Talking of back ends, let's head there. After my seamless link there, Hattie, let's talk about the back end of this bike. So, same wheels.
Yeah.
Or same wheel, I should say, is what's on the front. It's another 29 Reynolds carbon, right? Mm-hmm. Carbon wheel. It doesn't have a model of which carbon wheel, so it could be something sneaky.
I believe it's just the same as what I have on my downhill bike.
Just a bit stealthy.
But it's just probably Pascal was just making them just for me as quickly as possible.
Pascal being your mechanic, right?
Yeah, just to get me on the bike as quickly as possible to, you know, have everything ready.
Get you going. A different rear tyre, I see.
Yeah, so this is a Taki-chan 2.4. So like it gives a slightly different feel. Can slide around a little bit more and you can have a little bit more fun with it, which is quite nice on the back end of a bike. You don't want that so much on the front necessarily.
Not at all.
But I mean, it's not much. It's quite marginal, the feeling difference, but it does make the bike a little bit more playful on those tight things.
And I see obviously we got this sort of blank white, and I should have said it, but it's on the front actually as well, this sort of white patch with, again, some jottings from Pascal on there. Do we know what those are? C3, 430 and 29. I mean, 29 being the size, I'm assuming, obviously. 430, I don't know, C3? Any compounds, you tell?
Possibly.
Oh, okay. Just some...
secret.
Yeah, all right. Well, it works, obviously. Haze out back again. Same size rotor?
Yeah, 203 on the back as well.
All right. And then what pressures are we running in the rear tyre?
So the rear tyre is obviously a bit more, so like anything from like 25 to 30, depending on what we're riding.
Insert out back?
No inserts. No, same again, just good old air.
Just nothing but air. I like it. All right, Hattie, well, thanks for letting us have a look at your bike. It's an incredible piece of kit. Look forward to seeing you and Pietra on it.
Beautiful.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you out there. Thank you.
Yeah.